So, sorry for the bit of a delay. We had a couple of issues that we had to deal with, but we are back now with this third round game winner's side. And what a game this is. Phil Harrison versus Ronan McCarthy. Two of the old campaigners. I guess it's fair to say two of the more senior players in the field. And again, great pleasure to welcome Gareth Potts into the commentary. Hi Gareth, another good day today?
Hi Nick, yeah, good.
There's some amazing matches ongoing at the moment, isn't there? Just some.
Yeah, this is the session, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, Appleton's playing, Mallion's playing, Shaw's playing, Ben Davies, Chilton.
Just before we go too far with that, I just want to point out the scoreline between Mark Farnsworth and Sam Bircher. Sam Bircher currently 3-1 ahead against Mark. That'll be a shock for some people. But yeah, Ben Davies playing Rob Chilton. They're locked together at 2 apiece. Jack
Yeah, Shaw's 5-3 down to
Lewis
Calcutt.
Cole Bedford playing Adam Davis. And they're 3 apiece.
Appleton's fine, 5-1 ahead.
And Declan Brennan, the way he started that game, he started like a bit of a train in the first frame. He looked really good. Apparently ex-snooker player. Just come off the tour last year. And Darren Appleton, he's looking good there at 5-1. But yeah, there were some monster games. And probably none more so than these two players. Phil Harrison, the farmer, 44 years old. He's got 2 children. I know he absolutely dotes on his kids. Doesn't know who made his cue. He bought it off John Bradford 15 years ago for 75 quid, and he's been using it ever since.
I think that's a pretty good investment. I'm just going to have a quick look at this, if you don't mind. I'll have a quick look at his player profile.
Yep. Two of the players at the very top of the game. Oh, Ronan's let that one go. It's just ran a couple of inches too far. And he's going to have some problems now. He's looking very puzzled, as you can see from his face. He's not quite sure what happened there. Just wanted to drop it in, but the white just carried on rolling. Obviously thinks that he can just swerve it around the red. No, so we get our first look at Phil Harrison. Phil, probably quite rightly, was one of the favourites before the tournament. I think he was 7-1 before the off, maybe even 6-1. And back quite heavily before the game. I think he opened at about 9s. And he's playing another player in Ronan McCarthy, who opened at around about 14-1. I think he finished at about 10s. So a couple of well-fancied players. People have a lot of money riding on these. And I know that Phil Harrison, he clocked up £4,000 in the Calcutta. So someone's going to be sweating this game. Ronan McCarthy, arguably, or even not arguably, the best money match player ever. These players will be familiar to everyone in the pool world. Max Nosko currently in action against Neil Raybone. Neil's just edging that one 3-2. Sean Story, people thought he was the value of the round at 6-4. He's currently 3-2 up against Toby Bolt. Jordan Shepherd, who is, spoke to him today, feeling really good about his game, but he's trailing Jack Whelan 3-0. Jack really playing well over this weekend so far. Who wouldn't fancy Jack for this title? So Phil making no mistakes and taking advantage of that error from Ronan. Fairly standard clearance here for him. And the one feature you will notice about Phil Harrison is his cue ball control. Probably one of the best players in the game. Keeps that cue ball on a string, and it's a real economy of cue ball as well. He just finds the shortest route around the table.
Yeah, and that was right on cue there, Nick, because he's played a good shot. He's just straight enough here that he can just screw back in a straight line, probably on and off the cushion. He had a bit more angle than I thought, but from the ball over the pocket, it was a good shot.
No mistakes from Phil. Consummate professional.
Neither of these players have a particularly massive break, and this is where the short rack, I think, will play a big part in it, because I know we watched, or the match I watched on the last match last night on the stream, I was commenting a lot about how no balls went near the rails, or very few. Both of these players hit the break with just almost like a firm stun shot. I know Ronan's been working on his break, and he's actually using one of my Chinese 8-ball cues to break with. He's been working a lot on it and trying to drive the cue through, but Phil certainly hits the break with almost like a hard stun. So I think this rack is something that will definitely help both of these players.
And there we get a close-up of our referee. He's done a great job this weekend. Under pressure a few times, taking it all in his stride. And we see Ronan's break for the first time. Just spotted something on the table. Did a bit of gardening, and he's ready to go.
Hit him okay, not great. Obviously nearly screwed back and off, which is always a bad shot, but didn't hit him too bad, and a little bit unlucky not to make one. But
what would you say is the ideal break? Are you when you're breaking? I take it you're breaking from somewhere just off centre. Are you looking? I see a lot of players they aiming to play through the front ball, and they often use a touch of either right-hand side if they're breaking from the left hand, just to hold the ball in the centre of the table. I see a lot of players doing that. Is that what you're aiming for?
Yeah, I always used to break off to the right of the centre spot on the line, if you like.
Yeah.
And I never used to use any side, because you just want to make contact with the front ball as flush as possible and hold the cue ball. I used to stun the cue ball up and down the centre line, so up over the blue spot, up over the brown spot, and try and get the cue ball sort of back to somewhere around the middle of the table. I think that's the ideal break off, because you're taking the cue ball away and the balls are obviously travelling back towards you, which sort of reduces the chances of being kicked and off into one of the corners or the middle. Parking the cue ball somewhere around the middle of the table is obviously a very tough shot when you're hitting him with so much pace, and increases the risk of being kicked into one of the corners.
So we're going to see a bit of a tactical affair here. Ronan, of course, plays predominantly black ball, but he's very much a World Rules player. When he played his recent money match, he played to World Rules.
He plays obviously on the IPA tour, which is to black ball rules, but he does actually play a lot of World Rules in his local club. They have singles leagues, which is an handicap singles league, which he's obviously heavily handicapped in, and so he plays a lot of races and all that as at World Rules. So he would be as good as anybody tactically. So in what 2 matches that I've commentated on now, and the few matches that I've flicked and watched around the room, I think that's the first deliberate foul that I've actually seen.
I've seen 2, yeah. 2 in, I don't know how many frames.
And how many frames and matches that you've commentated on in
Darren
in
Appleton
2 days.
played a DF in the first match yesterday, and that's the only one.
And that's no coincidence that that's only, what, the 3rd one that you've seen.
Yeah.
And the first one that I've seen now without the magic rack.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be any figure.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or the short rack, should I say.
So with a couple of balls tied up, both players looking to wrestle an advantage in this game. I think if he can make it, Phil, I think he may be just looking at this plant up the rail, because he knows he doesn't need to make the ball if he just plays it pocket weight. Even if he takes the bag, that'll be a big advantage. And the other thing is, of course, the first yellow will be coming back out into open play. So you see the referee tapping the table to say that there's 10 seconds remaining. Of course, you can see behind Phil's ear that he wears a hearing aid. So that's his instruction.
Phil obviously did have the best set of balls in this frame when we started, and he was always almost a move ahead, if you like, a shot ahead. Be interesting to see what shots Ronan plays here and how he tries to turn the frame around, because Phil would be a die-hard World Rules player and plays very little World Rules, so he is going to be very switched on in the tactical department. So, to be honest, I'm sort of quite interested to see how and what play the shots that these players play.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. Can Phil see through to that yellow? Would he be pushing that up over the left-hand bag?
If he can see it, I think that's the shot he'll play.
Cement the advantage.
Ideally, if he pots it, he's away.
Yeah.
If he pots it, he wins the frame.
So it must be, yeah, you can see through, and he's made it. So just this one real problem ball left, which is the one tied up next to the red towards the left-hand side. It does go into right centre, but you would have to be very precise to get on it.
Not sure about that one.
No.
And trust me, you'll know if Phil's played a bad shot, because he'll let you know about it.
He
You have to look at his facial expressions. There you go.
You can see right there his sagging shoulders, a shake of the head.
But to be honest, that could mean he's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't read too much into that just yet. But no,
definitely not what he was planning.
Phil is obviously one of those players which I was talking about it on the commentary yesterday, how even when he's perfect, he does still have a little moan. But yeah.
Oh, he just needed a flick on that. That's what he was looking for. You could see him just shake his shoulders as it went past, trying to urge it to. He literally just needed a tiny flick.
Yeah, a flick on either ball would have done him. If he just snicked the red first, and I know it would have still been blocked into the middle, but then the yellow would have passed into the corner.
Yeah. So I wonder if he will now try and land on it.
he may pop the one over the pocket
Yeah.
and decide to try and play the split into it. There's a bit of value in that. I think he may try and screw into it here. That's what he's tried to do, you see. And now he is in no man's land.
I know the referee has to signal Phil. He's got 10 seconds, but that tap on the table, I guess Phil must be used to it by now. He's been seeing it for years.
To be honest, I was just going to speak about that before you did, and obviously he almost tapped the table there right on Phil's backswing.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think a little bit of common sense needs to be used there.
He was going to play the shot anyway.
He was going to play the shot, and I think, you know, for the sake of an extra second, I think he should have not walked to because obviously he didn't only touch the table.
Yeah, he had to step in.
Well, he stepped in, but he also stepped in his eye line.
Yeah, yeah.
So
he's lost the white there, so that should be frame over.
So I think that he possibly should have just used a little bit of common sense there and waited. And had Phil, for whatever reason, got back up off the shot, then obviously he could have tapped the table, but also warned him that he'd done it maybe 3 seconds late. For me, that he should have just used a little bit of common sense there. But Phil didn't get back up off the shot, and if it did affect him when he walked to the table, then maybe Phil would have got back up.
Yeah,
he certainly
and he had an extension, so he could have. I think he's still got his extension anyway. I haven't.
I personally would have had to get back up off the shot there because you know he did sort of dart in his eye line. But obviously Phil didn't see it as a distraction, and he certainly didn't complain about it.
I guess he's seen it for years. He may be used to it, but maybe if he was worried, he'd just have a word with the ref and just say, you know, if I'm down on the shot, just let me play it, because he's not gonna cue it for 10 seconds, is he? So. So Ronan just going through the motions with this one.
Hit that nice.
Yeah, very nice. Timed it well and left it perfect. So, honours even at 1 frame apiece. And just looking at some of these other games, I mean, we did mention at the top of this game that there's a number of great matches in play. You can watch some of those via, we are streaming 4 tables. So if you go to playerspoolevent.com, you can see any of those tables. But, I mean, some of these would definitely grace a final. Ben Davis, current IPA World Champion, is playing Rob Chilton, who beat Tom Cousins late last night. Rob Chilton's currently 4-3 up against Ben. Jack Whelan, Jordan Shepherd. Jordan's starting to come back into that one. He was 3-0 down. He's now 4-2.
And Jason Shaw was 6-3 down. He's now 6-all.
Wow. Carl Morris, Gareth Hibbert, 2 ex-world champions. 2 frames apiece. Mark Farnsworth, he was 4-2 down. He's now 4-3. Sean Story looking good for that 6-4 value that everyone was talking about. He's 5-2 up against Toby Bolt. Scott Gillespie, 8-1 against John Rowe. Neil Raybone just still 1 frame ahead against Max Nosko at 4-3. Carl Sutton. Well, who'd say that Carl Sutton couldn't win this whole thing? He's just quietly going about his work. Played really well last night. He's 5-3 up against a tough opponent in Chris Day. And just one other that I'll touch on, that's Darren Appleton's 7-1 up against Declan Brennan.
And what happened so many times to the poor gods there. So Phil obviously missed a finish, which certainly he'd expect to get, and then absolutely crunches the break and doesn't make a ball, and leaves sort of dot to dot on the reds, really.
Reds look lovely, don't they? Just good from Ronan. He's worked out a good pattern here, so he's going to come down the table and take them from bottom to top. Leave all the 4 balls at the top and then just work his way back up the table.
Yeah, I think that's the right way. He'll take these 2 balls away now, so that one, and then that's the good camera angle, as you can see there. He'll take the one into the middle next, and then he'll play the black into the corner. Normally where the black's positioned, you would expect it to go into the shorty's pocket closest to it, which is obviously the middle, but just because of the 3 yellows in a little triangle, it does create a little bit of traffic, so that's why he chose to go that way and clear this bottom end of the table.
Just played that with a touch check side, it's just to check it up the table. And I'm just going to do the... Wow, well, there's a miss. I did not expect
Jesus Christ, wow, he actually moved on that shot. I saw his shoulder move.
I thought for 1 second that he was just checking it across the table, but I thought perhaps a check side. But then looking at the cue ball, it just it came off naturally, so I'm not sure he was even checking it.
Yeah, he dropped his shoulder a little bit on that shot. Actually, as he delivered the cue, he dropped his arm.
Yellows look okay. There's obviously these 2 tied up. It's just kind of coverage. Phil just looking now to see whether the inside one goes. If they don't, he's got a ball just to the right of them that he can use just to nudge those. He obviously feels that it goes.
No, I'm not sure this does go.
Not from where he is, I don't think.
No, I don't think that goes from there. So
I would have thought, you know, because with the ball being exactly adjacent, if he just finishes to the right, he can just nudge those 2 balls out.
he can. He just wants to leave balls on the table. There was an option to land if he doesn't land on one of the 2 balls. That's the key to when you're canning into balls. You need to leave yourself another option. So you can see he's putting right hand side on the cue ball here. He's trying to turn this over.
Doesn't have to, yeah, didn't drop.
So
chances both ways. There's a couple of misses you wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, and what happens there is obviously he's trying to play it right hand side to just turn the cue ball over to pot the yellow. But when you play with the right hand side, it actually pushes the cue ball to the left first. Wow.
Even that went in off the knuckle.
They're both testing the knuckles here, but yeah, when you play with the right hand side there, it actually pushes the cue ball offline to the left hand side first, and that's obviously exactly what happened. So it pushed the cue ball to the left first, and hence why he missed it to the right hand side. A little bit of an edgy start, and one thing to bear in mind here is obviously these 2 guys are 2 top players, but they wouldn't have played each other for a long time. You know, they don't play in the same tournaments. Yeah. Obviously, Phil plays the World Rules, Ronan plays on the IPA at the Black Ball Rules. So it'd be interesting to actually find out the stat of when these 2 lads actually played against each other, but it would have been a long time ago, I'm sure. So
yeah, I know they were both in the elite tournament year before last, but I'm fairly certain they didn't meet.
So you know, you could be talking sort of 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years since these guys even played. Well, I would say played in the same tournament. If you say that, I think they were both in that elite event, but actually playing against each other, it could be that amount of time, and it is a bit strange when you know you haven't. Obviously, these guys know each other well and have been on the circuit together for a long time, but when you haven't played somebody for so long, it is a little bit strange, certainly stranger than when you're used to playing someone sort of week in, week out in events. Obviously a lot of respect between each other, and I think a little bit of the respect there has maybe come out, because it's the only thing I can think of that the reason why both of them would make the mistakes they've made here in the first sort of few frames. But
I don't know if Ronan McCarthy filled out his own profile, or whether he let somebody like Mark Farnsworth do it for him, because looking at it, Ronan McCarthy, nicknamed Babe.
That is his actual real
name. It is,
yeah.
But age 49, who is your sponsor, if any? Huggies. Relationship, in love. Who made your cue? Myself. Did he really make his own cue?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think what's happened is Farnsworth's been out on the Grey Goose, and Ronan doesn't know how to even switch his computer on. Never mind fill out one of these forms. So
tip manufacturer and size, phenolic, 12 millimeters. Dear me.
I think he's let Farnsworth loose on this after the Goose.
When and why did you start playing pool? When I was a kid, I was ugly and very shy, so women were off the menu. So as a boy, I played pool instead.
No, that is true.
Shall I tell him who his favourite pool cue sport player is and why?
Yeah.
Gareth Potts. His body is so sexy. If you ever, I won't follow that through.
This is bordering on like porn.
Yeah, I know. I won't follow that one through. Dear me. A funny story or interesting, unique fact about you. Oli Bell played me for money. Very funny. Yeah, that's definitely not him. Oh, dear me. So, the game between Lewis Calcutt and Jason Shaw getting to the business end. Currently 7 frames apiece, so we'll keep a close eye on which way that's going. That's a real nip and tuck. Momentum seemed to be with Jason in his comeback.
Momentum would be with him, and it'd be interesting. I don't really know Lewis Calcutt, and I don't really know much about him, but obviously, you know, he can play because he was 6-3 up and it's now 7-all. But it'll be interesting to see how he copes towards the back end of that match.
Yeah, he's at the table again. Looks like he's got a pretty simple clearance, to be honest, to go 8-7. So. Going back to this one, Ronan just brushed the yellow as he tried to scoot past it, and it's left him very, very awkward. It was a great recovery. He didn't want that flick on the black. Is he still okay? He is.
Well, he's had a really nice flick on it, because I think he's finished dead straight, which if he is dead straight, he can just run it through and land onto the last yellow into the right corner.
Now he knows he's got to play across the rack, so he's asking for the balls to be moved. But in actual fact, he's going to play it as a stun shot, so it wouldn't make any difference.
I think he's going to play it as just like a slower topspin.
Oh,
I think he's going to play onto the yellow in the right corner because he's dead straight. And he needs to be good on the other yellow, because the black only goes into the one middle. You can see there, great job from our referee George, sort of took the 2 balls away, but then needs to manoeuvre the short rack in between the 2 balls. And occasionally this happens, but you know, lucky if it happens once in a match race to 11. I think that's a small price to pay.
Yeah.
For having all 15 balls guaranteed to be touching.
I said that Lewis was on a clearance, but he made a bit of a mess of his last ball. And, now, it's back across to Jason. It was a very simple clearance to take the lead.
Yeah, I did say it'd be interesting to see how Lewis sort of holds up there towards the end of that match, because there is quite a few people over that side of the room watching it. Oh, I think he changed his mind. I think he can top the red out of the way here.
That's a very good shot. Oh, did it just... No, it's fine.
No, he's good.
It just rolled a... From that camera angle, it looked like it might have hidden for a second, but he's fine. And he's now 3 frames to 1. Ben Davis and Rob Chilton locked together at 4 apiece.
Jack Whelan, absolutely fine. Jack is one of those players where when he turns up and hits a little bit of form, he's dangerous. He isn't one of those players where, and he has got pedigree, you know, he's one of those players where he turns up to tournaments, and when he plays well, he goes deep or wins, or he loses first or second round. You know, he's not one of them players that's just almost like a Mr. Consistency type player that's hovering around quarterfinals and semis.
And he's just gone to 6-2.
He has got a lot of firepower, and he has got a big break, and when he gets it going, he's hard to keep up with.
Carl Morris and Gareth Hibbett. Carl Morris, who absolutely annihilated Callum Singleton last night, 11-0. They're a two apiece. I did speak to Gareth Hibbett beforehand. He was a 1-2 favourite. He said obviously the 11-0 didn't phase the bookie in the slightest because he still made Gareth a 1-2 favourite. Chris Melling and Lee Washbrook about to get underway. That'll be another game of interest. I'm almost certain that's going to be streamed on one of the 4 tables, so keep an eye out for that one. Mark Farnsworth has levelled things up from 4-2 behind against Sam Bircher. Sean Story, 7-2 now against Toby Bolt. Jason Shaw just edged ahead now. Well, as we knew he would with that simple clearance. Matt Brearley doing what Matt does. Just we had him on commentary earlier. He's just working his way through the rounds quietly. Difficult player.
And just to let any of you know that do want to follow these scores, for any of you that have had in any bets, then you can go to qscore.com and follow it all live as it happens.
Also, while we're on the subject, please do share the stream. Also, if you see any links on the players' pool events page, then do please share them on Facebook as well. Let's get the exposure out there. It's not every day people get a chance to see these players in action, so I'm sure if you've got friends who play pool, they'd love to know about this. Invite them onto the players' pool events page. Let's build the community.
Play to it the yellow full ball to push the red towards the corner, and he's just glanced it, and that's not ideal. I'm not sure if the red doubles into the middle, the one he's just hit. I'm not sure if that doubles past the yellow into the middle.
Looks like he's going to play it down the rail, even if he gets some coverage over that bag. Phil's got 3 balls adjacent to that pocket. That it's cover, but it's not great cover.
No, you'd be
get a ball either side of that.
Disappointed because he actually played the pot, because if he pots it, he wins the frame. And
yeah.
If he gets it over the hole, he's as good as wins the frame. And to leave a gap that big is a poor shot, really. You can see there in the background all the other matches going ahead. The first table there is Darren Appleton. You can just see Chris Mellin on the next table. And Jason Shaw is just on the one to the left-hand side. So sitting that side of the arena, you have a pretty good view of all 4 matches. Very sloppy from Phil so far. I have to say it's the first time I've watched. I know he's had some amazing results on, especially on the UK pool tour, where well he's basically just almost wins every single one of them. I know of late that Tom sort of took over a little bit, but between them, the record is incredible. The amount of
Phil
events.
won I think 3 events in 2016 and 2017. Tom won the first 3 back-to-back, first time that had ever been done, I think. And then Phil still managed to nick the last one. And then he's also won the first one of this season as well. So he's sharing top spot with Lee Kendall. They've won one apiece.
So he's had obviously a lot of success at the World Rules on the UK pool tour. Okay, it's not obviously what it was, but there's still a lot of good players, and it's the first time I've actually watched him play. Certainly I've maybe seen a bit on the stream, but the first time I've watched him play live for a long time, and He just looks a little bit out of sorts to me here. Even the few tactical shots that he's tried to play and are a little bit suspect. A little shot selection. He's just giving his face a bit of a rub there. And if he loses this frame, my advice to him would be to maybe go to the toilet and give your face a bit of a swill, because he does look a little bit.
Yeah.
He obviously is out of character for Phil Harrison to make this many mistakes. You know, he would expect to be playing a race to 11 without making this many mistakes in the whole match, and he's probably made 3 or 4 in the first 4 frames.
Just looking across at the Jason Shaw-Lewis Calcutta game, Lewis has just missed an absolute sitter. A really, really simple clearance to level things up at 8 each, and Jason's going to take out the clearance. He's on the black now to go 9-7 ahead, so that could be a massive turning point in that game. Lewis will be very disappointed with that miss.
And the last 2 misses, we've got it on the iPad next to us here, and he has just missed 2 really easy clearances there from 7-8. So instead of being 7-9, 9-7 hop, he's 7-9 behind, which raised to 11. And I did wonder, I did say how, you know, he came back at him from 6-3, and I did wonder how he'd sort of cope with it, and maybe whether Shaw's name would be enough to sort of get him over the line there.
Greg Batten, who, well, you've got to say it, Greg Batten, I guess, is the reigning champion. He's a defending champion, isn't he? He's, I know this is a brand new series, the Supreme Pool series, but its precursor, the amateur events that were played last year, the Players Amateur Championship. Greg won the last event, so arguably you could say that he's a defending champion.
Well, I would have to argue with that, to be honest, because yes, Greg won the last event here, but it was a very, very different feel to what this is, and it was a completely different tournament.
Yeah.
He did win the last event we had here, but in my opinion, he can't be called anywhere near the defending champion of this event with this field. If he wins this event, he can be called the defending champion, but that's obviously taking nothing away from what Greg won the last event, but yeah, obviously this one is a bit of a different ball game.
He's 5-2 up. Found a ball in the middle.
Yeah, I found a ball in the middle, and look at the yellows. I think he's finished with an angle on the yellow into the yellow into the top right corner. I don't know if he's straight enough that you can screw straight back and dislodge his only bad ball. If he's not, he could just pot it and leave an angle on the other one to screw back into it.
I reckon he can. I think he can make it with a bit of side.
I think it's one of those shots where he can get it, but he's got to hit it really nice.
Yeah.
It's one of them where you can't hit it too hard, but you've got to get the cue ball to grip really quickly. And if any cloth allows you to do that, it's definitely the Strachan number 10, because it is the most responsive cloth in the world. So, World Rules, he's nominated yellows. He is on yellows, so he's almost a safety net playing it this way, because he can play it at pocket weight, cannon it out, and if he gets it over the pocket, it's almost as good.
How does that come out? Well, it's out.
Does it double into the middle past the red?
Yeah, it may well.
He's having a look at it now.
Just another game of interest. Rob Chilton now 6-4 up against the reigning IPA world champion, Ben Davis.
And I was actually looking at the draw, and Chilton in particular has had a real stinking draw. I don't know who he played in his first match, but
George Tierney.
Of course, he played George Tierney, and then his second match, obviously he played Cousins.
Yep.
Now he's playing Ben Davis.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much tougher than that, to be fair. And also for Jack Whelan.
I was saying the same thing about Jack. If Jack wins his first 3 games, he deserves to win the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, those 3 matches could quite easily be 3 wins from the quarterfinals to win one of these events.
Yeah. So if you're not aware, Jack Whelan played Mark Boyle in his first game, Carl Boyes in his second game, and now he's facing off against Jordan Shepherd. He's currently 6-4 up. Carl Morris, Gareth Hibbert still locked up, 3 frames each. Lee Washbrook is currently beating Chris Melling 3 frames to 1. So the Magician is playing Washy. And Washy's no mug, practice partner of Rob Chilton.
Oh, and obviously he practices with Rob, so he'll be used to playing at that sort of level. It was just exactly the same situation with the Shaw game of if he does continue to sort of push towards the line, how he sort of copes when he sort of sees the finishing line, I think is the question.
Jason Shaw currently on a finish. Tricky little finish, but he's got it to go 10-7. He's now favourite to go 10-7. Played a nice shot. Max Nosko and Neil Rayburn. Neil Rayburn's never been behind in that game, but there's still only 1 frame in it. He's 5-4 up. Carl Sutton and Chris Day. Chris Day's making a comeback. They're locked together at 6-all.
Sam Bircher has pulled ahead against Farnsworth. He got back to 4-all. It's now 6-4 to Bircher.
Not too familiar with Sam Bircher, I must admit to that. So
he got to the final of one of the events we had here, the one that Craig Lakin won. He lost in the final to Craig. He obviously is only young, and I had not seen him since that event, and that would have been over a year ago. And since then, he's actually lost 5 stone. He actually walked in, and I didn't even recognise him. He's only a young lad, but he's lost 5 stone, and says he's been trying to do things the right way. He's been in the gym, he's been training, and I think he does put a lot of practice in. He's played in a few tournaments out in China. So he's played a little bit of the Chinese game, and I think he is one of those guys that works really hard. And don't be surprised to see him about winning events in the future, because I think he obviously has got talent, but on top of that, I think he has got the mindset that he's got to work hard, and those 2 things combined sort of equal success, really.
I looked a bit disappointed that red didn't drop, but when you looked at the gap behind the yellow, it wasn't like he could squeeze it cushion first and the red wouldn't pass through there either. So I'm not surprised it didn't fall. But he's definitely got an advantage in the frame.
Now, I don't know if he's left him this one over the hole, and what the big question then is does the red pass the black into the middle? That's what Phil's just coming around to. He's just checked, and if we can get you that camera angle. From that view, I think it does pass the black into the middle. There you can see it does. But Phil's having none of it. He wants to keep that ball over the hole. And that's a good shot.
Just made a cushion.
I think Ronan has to cover the red up now. I think that's the shot at World Rules. He has to play the yellow here on the bottom left corner and push it over the red. And push it over the red in a way where he doesn't leave a gap for the cue ball to go through. I think that's his only shot. not sure what he's played here. He's now standing there scratching his head, and I am a little bit as well, because I just don't see any value at all in potting the ball he's just potted.
Jason Shaw is on the last black of the match, and he shakes hands and he goes through against Lewis Colcott. 11-7. He's through on the winner's side into round 4, which puts him in the last 32. Am I right in thinking? I think if he wins his next match,
it'll be the last 16.
he's through into the last 16. Yeah. So.
Is it not the last 16 now with winning 3 matches? 64, 32, 16.
Yes, beg your pardon. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, so Jason Shaw through on the winner's side, so he will get to face off against somebody from the loser's side. No, he has to play another game to get to 8, of course.
They'll continue to the last 8, yeah. See, so Ronan played my shot in the end, but played it from a much worse angle and took a ball off the table, which made absolutely no sense. And, I did say, although I said Ronan does play some world rules, not playing these rules, you're definitely not going to be as sharp as somebody that does play them week in, week out.
Darren Appleton's 10-2 against Declan Brennan. Jack Whelan's won the next frame against Jordan Shepherd and now leads 7-4. Needs just 4 more frames.
So what Ronan wants Phil to do here is he wants Phil to, he's going to snow cream again, but what he wants him to do is he wants him to push the red into a position where it's awkward, and it allows him to play the black onto the yellow onto the red and leaves him no first shot on the red. That's the chess side of the game of what Ronan will be thinking. He'll be thinking those shots ahead, that he wants Phil to push this red into a safe position, so then when he plays the black onto the yellow onto the red over this bottom corner, he makes him waste his first shot on the red, obviously without leaving him foul snookered. Phil needs to, and Phil will surely be aware of that. Okay, so now he has a chance. Now he may elect to play if he thinks he can get the cue ball in a really awkward place, which I think he might be able to. And he could play it dead weight, where he just wedges the black right on top of the yellow. So even if he pots the red at the angle he'll be potting it from, oh, he's having none of it. It's a good. It's definitely an option to have played that shot, and he'll wish he'd have played it now.
Indeed, little double kiss. Yeah, I think that was probably the shot. Lee Washbrook maintains his lead. He's now 4-2 up. Still that 2 frames ahead. Cole Bedford, the young man, is he's having a very good weekend so far. He had a couple of good results yesterday, and he's currently 8-5 up against the ex-EPA world champion, Adam Davis. Cole is a very vocal player on social media. He plays quite a few money matches. Good young up-and-coming player.
For me, there's no value in this shot because Phil will now just play the black up towards the red. Phil plays the black up towards this red.
Yeah, it's hard to see how Ronan can win the frame from there.
And that's why I think when he had the chance, he should have played my shot, and when the red was on the rail, you know, before he was making him pot a tough ball, and even if he pots it, he can get the black wedged on top of the yellow, and it's still difficult even from there. For me, Ronan's just tactically not there, because Phil will definitely push one of the balls up there.
He's going to push the yellow up. Now, of course, Ronan's got 2 balls that he needs to worry about. And I can see why Phil's played that shot as well. He's covered the yellow.
But you know, the reason why I like the black in there is because the black's something that Ronan can't play until last. That's the reason why I would have played the black.
Yeah.
You see, because now he's left it in a place where he's just leaving him one shot at a double. So he played the yellow up there, but he didn't. When he was playing the yellow up there, he should have played it harder and got the yellow to the top cushion, because now he's left him as a double.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I thought I would have been a little bit further behind these world rules boys since I stopped playing for so long, but I'm a little bit confused by a couple of shots that both of them have played in this frame.
Is he going to leave a double? Is he going to try and land on it? I just wonder if he's going to try and nudge it and land on it. What a shot that is.
Well, he's on it, but how does he get?
Yeah, how does he get on the black?
Get to the black?
Big, tough ask. He's going to have to nail this. Awkward, playing across the rail. Can't get to the back of the ball. Playing the top edge. A valiant effort. But, Phil now with these couple of balls, and boy did he need this frame. If Ronan could have found a way to win this one at 5-1, he struggled to find a way back. At 4-2, Phil very much a feature in this match. He's breaking in the next as well.
He'll definitely be having a moan at this one.
Yeah, landed on the rail. He's straight down over it.
Phil does play with a big tip though, which helps off the rail.
Good shot. No mistakes. And he's back within 2 frames.
Yeah, and being good off the cushion is important to English pool, because for one, the cue ball is obviously smaller than the object ball. So when the cue ball is on the rail, it does like hide underneath it a little bit. So it is important to be good at it, because otherwise you find yourself, when the cue ball's on the rail, you find yourself almost jacking the butt of the cue up in the air because you feel like the rail hides the cue ball. And secondly, because an English 8-ball table is quite small, the playing surface is only 3 foot wide. You do find yourself with the cue ball very close to the rail a lot of the time because the surface is quite a small area. We're now just going to cut to a quick interview with a couple of winners from that last round in Jason Shaw and Darren Appleton.
Okay, 2 winners now off the on the smaller stream tables, Darren and Jason. How did your matches go?
Darren, I was happy. It's the best I've played since I come back. Made a lot of break and run outs, and only made one mistake. And I played a good player, so I was beating 11-2.
Yeah, it was a big score.
Very happy. Brendan, I can't remember his last name. Irish kid, but he played really good. I could see at the start he's a snooker player. So I was clinical, so I was very happy with the cue ball also.
Well, I think both of you look confident on the tables, and when you're running on off the cushions, you seem to get absolute perfect position. Which
just one rack where I sort of lost a cue ball with a bounce, just misjudged a bounce. So, but I'll have took that before that match. But just starting to feel more comfortable. Obviously, getting some wins under your belt and playing properly. You know what I mean? Not like in practice you're just sort of trying things, but in a match you play. Obviously, it's more intense, so you learn more when you're in a match situation.
And Jason, you were behind 6-3 in yours, and you turned it around.
Yeah, the match was pretty close from start. 1-1, 1-2 each, and then 3-3 a break and got kicked in off, and then he had a break and obviously run out, and then a break and run. So I was down 5-3, and then next game I made a mistake, and he took advantage of it, and then I took a little time out and just tried to clear my head, you know what I mean? And then I came back and I played perfect up until 8-7 up, and then I missed a red up the cushion, and then he missed a straight in yellow. I couldn't believe it. I was sort of like, being mad at myself, and then I look around and he's missed a yellow. So got quite lucky there, but played good the last couple of games, and I took a couple of good finishes. So
yeah, I mean for him it was a big match because he's new to the circuit. He's obviously seen you playing on Sky and everything, so he's
as I say, great break, and very fast. And I was saying to you earlier, when I seen him play, I was thinking, oh God, he's playing fast, you know what I mean? I'm thinking to myself, all right, because I used to play fast too, but I slowed down a little bit, so I'm trying to slow him down as well. But just happy to get the win.
Well done. You two are both on at 10 o'clock. Who do you think will win this match that's going to throw back to Phil and Ronan?
Well, before the match, I obviously had Phil. I probably had Phil, especially at Will Rules. I don't know what the score is now.
He's close. I think there's a frame in it.
Yeah, obviously I'd probably just edge Phil just for his experience in Will Rules, and I'm guessing I think over the years I think he's got a better head-to-head against Ronan. But it's a tough match.
But Ronan's playing really well. I mean, I think he won one of the recent events.
It's tough. I mean, but if I had to have my life in it, I'd have to bet on Phil.
Yeah, I think I would bet on Phil too. Obviously Ronan's solid, but I just feel like Phil's more clinical. When it really he has to do something. Where it comes into the rules, he knows a little bit more.
He doesn't look special, but he isn't. That's one of the great players.
Yeah, he's a very deceiving player, Ronan, because on the cue he don't look great. But I just think Phil is just so solid. I watched him play yesterday. He was one of the players I thought I'll take a look just to pick some tips up. Yeah. And I think he's the best guy to learn from, just because his patterns, his cue ball, and everything.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we'll get back onto the match. Thanks for joining us in the studio.
Cheers.
So right on cue there, as Darren was just sort of singing Phil's praises, he misses an easy ball into the middle right as we flick back. And it has been a very scrappy match this so far. Both of those lads there, Jason and Darren, have just said that they felt like they both played really well. And they've both just said they only really made probably a couple of mistakes each in their match. And these two lads have probably made 3 or 4 each so far. This is where the rules is a big difference on this shot, because Rona wants to play the plant here. Now at black ball rules you could just play this plant 100 mile an hour really, and it doesn't really matter what happens as long as you make the plant. Obviously, world rules very different.
Yeah, with the ball hanging over the bag, it's much more precarious. He's trusting a lot to luck there. How has it come out? That yellow above the red. Hard to see from here whether it passes. I think it probably maybe just does.
It does, and he'd like to play it off the red because then the red would bump his bad yellow down towards the pocket, but I'm not sure if he can play that.
I think that's what he's looking at.
He'd like to screw across and land on his bad one in the same shot next to the black.
So still some work to do.
Phil's standing up in the corner. I can bring you a shot of Phil, but Phil is standing. Obviously, he has got a seat, and he's standing up and fidgeting about and chalking his cue. And I think he should be sitting down. You know, there's no reason for, while Ronan's on that finish, for Phil to sort of be standing there fidgeting about and chalking his cue. You know, there's a seat there, and when you go back to your seat, you know, you should sit down and be still until it's your turn, come to the table. Having said that, Ronan's now standing up rather than sitting down. He isn't fidgeting about, but he is standing up.
Ben Davis back to within one frame. In fact, that was 7-all a second ago. Rob Chilton's just taken the next one and gone to 8-7. Jack Whelan getting closer to the line. He's 9-5 up against Jordan Shepherd. Jordan, to be fair, probably not been his usual self for the last 18 months. He's won a couple of events a couple of years ago, but not quite been there. He's just refinding his love for the game, which is probably a good time just at the start of this series.
Yeah, and sorry to cut in there, but Phil does just look a little bit well, this is just like it's just a bit comical at the minute. They're both just missing balls for fun, but Phil does just look very agitated. He was sort of standing up, sitting down, and having a little bit of a mumble to himself and sort of scratching his arc. He just looked a little bit agitated.
That Carl Morris-Gareth Hibbett game. Gareth, very, very quick attacking player. They've only played 7 frames. Carl Morris is just 4-3 ahead.
Yeah, and the rules do allow that to happen sometimes. You know, if you get a frame that's scrappy, then there's nothing you can really do about it at World Rules. You have to sort of play it out and play the right shots. So I don't think that'll be anything that anyone's done deliberately. It's just sometimes that the balls do dictate that has to happen sometimes.
Ideally, Phil would have liked to have been a couple of inches higher on this. You can see the look on his face again. He's just not finding it at the moment. 2 or 3 inches higher would have made this much simpler. Should still get it, but there you go.
See, you just catch that near knuckle on the way in, and if you're going to miss up the rail, you have to miss to the far knuckle, not the near knuckle. I say miss. If you're going to be slightly out, you have to slightly overcut rather than undercut, because if you catch that near knuckle, it's definitely less room for error.
That was just that positional shot that we mentioned before. If he'd have landed just a few inches higher, that was a gimme. Ronan using the bottom of the pocket, just going off the knuckle purposefully. He didn't want to nudge the yellow.
Yeah, and he wanted to leave an angle to obviously kick this black out. And again, at the black ball rules, it doesn't matter. You can just go into it, and whatever happens, happens. It doesn't matter about the red. To be honest, I'm not sure that there's... Oh, he's played it really good. Oh, good shot. Very good shot. I was just going to say, I'm not sure there was any need to touch it. I mean, he could have left the ball over the corner that he's going to play now to the last and left a dead straight double. And he may screw back off the side cushion here, back in a dead straight line, like that. Played that nice. Got a lot of action on it by hitting it softly. That one was a bit of the opposite. He didn't get much action by hitting it hard, but he'll still pot this black.
Bit of anger in that shoulder. It's,
yeah, you can just see that.
Those 3 shots.
You can just see the difference there, Nick, in the timing of the cue ball. So the shot before, you know, he hit it nice, timed it well. He screwed on and off the side cushion, off the top cushion, left himself perfect, and he didn't hit it hard. It's just timing. It's like any other sport, you know, hitting a golf ball. It's not only about power; it's about timing. And then in the contrast to that, the shot after, he sort of punched it in 100 mile an hour, didn't get low enough on the cue ball, and you know. To be honest, he gave the pocket a chance of sort of spitting that ball back out, and the pace he played it.
Yeah.
He could have just hit it the same as he hit the other ball,
Yeah.
hit it twice as soft, and just flicked it back a little bit. But obviously everybody plays the shots and sees the shots differently.
Chris Melling showing the kind of class he's got. He's won 3 in a row, and now he's 5-4 up against Lee Washbrook. So Phil Harrison, this is his journey. In round 1, he beat Oli Bell 11-2, and then played a tighter game against Neil Wren last night. And he won that one 11-9, and now we see he's playing Ronan McCarthy.
Yeah, and a couple of the other matches have obviously finished now in the arena, and the crowd is building up in here now. It's building up just in time. Oh, that's unbelievable because he completely mishit the break. He literally hit the front ball, quarter ball, and then, well, I think it's the first time that I've ever seen somebody hit the front ball but then cut break at the same time. So he hit the front ball, quarter ball, screwed the cue ball onto the side rail, cut broke, and left them all in the middle of the table.
The second break was far more effective than the first.
And Phil, you know, was having a bit of a shake of his head down, rightly so, because he did hit that break unbelievably bad, and they have come out quite nice. And at first glance, it may not look like they have, but they have, because he can play the yellow that doesn't go anywhere next to the red off the other yellow, which will nudge the black away and pot that one in the middle. Oh, he's going a different way, but he could have gone my way. I know it goes in the corner, but I just think that's an unmissable ball and off ball into the middle.
Wow.
Oh, he might wish he'd have gone my way now because he snookered himself on it.
He has, and well, has he got a shot? I think this does pass into top left.
If it does, it's tight, and it's definitely tight from the angle he's going to be trying to pot it from.
He's not looking up there at the moment. He was just looking to see whether he thought he could turn the cue ball over, but I think he's having a look at it now.
I'm right behind this, and he has got to turn it over. You can see that. Well, not from that. There you can see that camera angle. You can see he's digging down on the cue ball.
No good.
Well, you say no good. It's only no good if he's left a gap.
Yeah.
I think it was a sort of calculated risk, thinking, well, if I cover the pocket, I'll leave a tough finish.
Yeah.
As it is, I'm not quite sure. I think maybe the red might squeeze past it. Phil's just coming round and having a good look now, but from what I can see, I think it goes. If it does go, the finish is still very tough because the red on, yeah, you can see it definitely does. But that's not the problem ball. Well,
Yeah,
Phil's gone.
Just not at the races, is he?
No, he's
I mean,
gone. Phil's gone. He's jumped up in the air there, dropped his shoulder, and yeah, he's struggling.
I don't think I've ever seen Phil Harrison miss as many balls. Ben Davis has just nailed a cheeky double and left the black easy over the middle bag for 8-all. Ronan would not be expecting this many chances when he started this game out. You'd have expected a much tougher battle than this, but Phil's just not putting up a fight at the moment.
Surprised Ronan didn't put the cue ball somewhere near the white line there. You see, that is exactly the point I made when he screwed the one in the middle of the frame before.
Yep.
You see how hard he's hit that?
Yep.
He got no action on
No
the cue
timing
ball,
at all.
no timing. I mean, it was everything for too long there. I mean, too short is...
It's okay. He takes the frame, but neither player's particularly convincing at the moment. I don't think anyone will be battering down the bookmaker's door watching these two. But, well, you know, they've both got the class, they can turn it around.
Yeah, and Phil just had a bit of a laugh and a joke with someone, or... apparently he just said... apparently Phil just sort of pointed over and said to somebody, "Oh, my head's gone."
Yeah.
And I think it has.
Yeah. Yeah. He's doing the right thing for sure. I mean, you can see there he's just virtually thrown his cue down the table and walked out of the arena towards the bathroom. He really does need to just go and wash his face and
give his face a swill and his head a slap.
It's actually Ronan that's gone for a bathroom break, and that's kind of preempted Phil going as well. But I think Phil's experienced enough to know that, you know, if he's saying to his friends that his head's gone, he really does need to just take a few minutes and just go, you know, wash his face and just regroup. He's been playing the game for years. So Phil breaks off and another dry break. So yeah, Phil, things just not going his way. And need the ball set. Great. He's going to take yellows. He was looking to move that problem red. Well, actually, he got a better prize. Nudged his difficult yellow out. Now it looks like he's just got that one remaining problem red. Sorry, problem yellow, just below the black. I think he'll be trying to leave an angle off the one in the middle. Oh, it wasn't what was planned. Left entirely the wrong angle, and definitely, well, you could see, I mean, the ball rattled, so it wasn't what he was trying to do. He's had a good nudge. Well, he's had a good nudge as he sat on that. Not sure he can get through now. Pretty sure he can.
I'm not sure that he can get through to the yellow at the bottom here. I think he's landed touching the red. No, you can't.
Just for a second, I thought he'd had a bit of a touch with that glance. Nudged out his bad ball, but he's stuck on the red, so. I mean, you kind of feel that the way Phil's been going, you definitely don't want to let him back in the game, but you just.
No, I think that's a good point, and the key point of if Phil's got to do anything difficult, then at the minute I just don't fancy him to do it.
No.
And that's a good shot. So, and Ronan obviously he's more experienced than most, and he'll know that he's got Phil on the ropes and he needs to keep him there. And he'll know by not giving him anything easy, he'll know that Phil is struggling, and he'll know that, of course, if the finishes are easy and it allows him to build up a bit of momentum and confidence, then. But the way it is at the minute, if he keeps it tight and keeps Phil sort of having to work for everything, then he'll know that Phil isn't comfortable.
Even that. Certainly one that you'd expect Phil to get. And, look where he's left the cue ball tight on that top rail, so even if he'd made it.
You can see there Phil's constantly shaking his head.
Just
and
nowhere, is he?
Having a little glance up to the gods, but. He flicked the red with the cue ball, nearly went in off. And he needs this yellow that's close to the line, the one that's in the middle of the table, close to the line. He needs that to pass to the yellow into the corner. It obviously doesn't. So he's going to clip this into the middle.
Should be okay if he can.
He'll be okay.
Yeah.
Is he on it? Is he on this into the corner?
He needs to be.
Yeah, he's on it.
Yeah.
He
I was
is
saying
just
he needs
on
to
it.
be because he's really hampered.
Yeah, no, he's
If he
on
had
it.
to play the other way. It's absolutely fine.
So just screw the white back up the rail. And, one of these shots again, Nick, where he needs to hit it softer but get lower on the cue ball.
Yeah.
He seems to just bang these back rather than just sort of time it.
That was much better timing. I mean, even then, he still hit it hard.
He still hit it hard and he dipped his shoulder into
Yeah.
it, but that was better. I mean, obviously he's finished it. He couldn't have put it better with his hand.
No, but you can generate that. I mean, we've touched on it a few points. You can generate that kind of screw off a far far more gentle. I mean, you saw him a minute ago. He hit a ball, and he screwed it probably, 7 feet up through the centre of the table, and he didn't hit it anywhere near that hard.
Yeah, and it's, the softer you hit it, and the more, especially at the rails, the more chance you give the pocket of taking the ball for one. And it is easier to control the distance by hitting it softer and putting the same strike on the ball all the time. The way Ronan plays the shots differently, it's hard to sort of keep control of what's happening with the pace of the cue ball. But obviously, like I say, everyone's different. Everyone sees the shots differently.
Jordan Shepherd with his back against the wall. He was 10-6 down. He's coming back fighting. He's won the next 2 frames. He's 10-8 against Jack Whelan. But Jack is on the hill, so any mistake from Jordan, and he's going to be pushed into the loser's side. Chris Melling currently 7-6 up against Lee Washbrook.
Rob Chilton 10-8 against Ben Davis.
Mark Farnsworth, he's in a game there, but I tell you what, I think, has he piled on 5 in a row?
Yeah, he's gone 9-6.
I think it was 6-4 down.
Yeah.
So he's won 5 in a row there against Sam Bircher. Rob Chilton, the Ben Davis game, I mean, he's 10-8 up, and Rob is currently at the table on a finish. So could be seeing the current IPA World Champion pushed across to the loser's side. And who'd have their money against Rob Chilton at the moment? Beat Tom Cousins last night, who is the man in form.
And also, this one could break a few accumulators. Also, Cole Bedford is 8-all with Adam Davis.
There's some great scorelines there. Greg Batten, no dramas there. He's 9-4 up against Michael Steele. Rob Chilton really is just reeling back the years. All those couple decades ago that he was playing on Sky Sports. It was kind of a regular feature, and I've got to say he's almost back to his best. So we did have a look at Phil Harrison's route through to this point. Maybe we can take a quick look at Ronan McCarthy's as well. We'll take a look at that at the end of the frame.
What sort of angle does he have on this one into the middle? It looks pretty straight.
So I guess here he's looking to play this into the middle. He's just looking at weighing up his options now, but he needs to find a way to move this ball on the left-hand rail. I think in the ideal world, what he'd like to do is just, so he's choosing a different route, but what he'd like to do is just finish slightly high on the one into the left middle, so he could. He's
great shot.
Played a very
really
good shot there.
Good shot. So he just needs to drop this one through, and he has to play the one closest to that little line into the middle, because that one doesn't go into either of the corners. So he has to play that one next.
Just looking to narrow it exactly where he wants to be. He's just dropping it through. couple of inches. Oh, he's just worried for a second. He saw him put his hand up, thought it had gone too far, but it hasn't. He's okay.
The fact that he's sort of he's nearly snookered himself, which means he is perfect because he's straight on it.
Yeah. And this is one-way traffic. So I believe the Rob Chilton match has
If it's ended, he must have won.
So Rob won. So that's another hard road for somebody in the loser side, because they've got to face Ben Davis.
And Jack Whelan and Jordan Shepherd is now 10-9 to Jack, and that was from 10-6.
Good to see Jordan scrapping. It's, too often lately he's let his head go down, but as I mentioned earlier, he's really enjoying the game at the moment. So he wants to be in it. He wants to be on the winning side, battling away. Carl Morris is 6-3 up against Gareth Hibbert, and there we see at the top it's Ronan McCarthy's route through. In his first round, he beat fellow countryman Dylan Leary 11-6, and then Brian Halcrow also 11-6. And currently 7-2 against Phil Harrison. In fact, it is 8-2, isn't it? Ah, okay. The ref hadn't updated it, but now he has. It's actually 8 frames to 2.
When you're 8-2 down, what you need is a break that just happens, that allows you to just fire out a couple of frames quickly and get yourself back into it. And although Phil's made a ball here, they're a little bit awkward at first glance.
Isn't it the case, though, when it's just not going your way, that break never seems to come out with a whole load of tap-ins. The game's just hard at the moment for Phil. Someone who normally just finds it a very naturally easy game. So he's opening up with a double. Played it well.
And that is one thing that Phil is the best in the world at, and always has been, is doubling the ball. I've never ever seen anyone better.
I have to assume that both these yellows pass that red. One
I don't think they do.
bottom side.
I don't think they do. That's why he's just
got
covered the
cover,
pocket
yeah,
there,
okay.
because
I was going to say
the bottom one didn't.
It doesn't indeed. Yeah, you can see from there it definitely doesn't. But he's in charge. Got both the top pockets covered. So a bit of a headache for Ronan here. Given the fact that Phil's got that yellow tied up on the top rail, there's another yellow tied up between black and red at the bottom. Is there any value in playing a DF? Because had Ronan potted the red onto the yellow top right and taken that bag, then Phil would have had another problem up there to tackle. Decided against it. So again, even that shot fell a lot closer than he wanted to be. Didn't get the full ball contact that he was looking for. That has to reach. No,
The cue ball reached, yeah.
The cue ball reached, yeah. So, yeah, Phil quite happy to be covering the bag, taking charge. Played a good shot there, actually. Judged it really well. By no means went for the pot. Ronan putting another one into the mix, but it's just nudge that yellow a little closer to the pocket. And Phil with a bit of license just to promote. I think had that yellow come over and, in fact, had that other yellow not dropped, Phil now needs to close the door on that pocket again, I think. He'd dearly love to move his difficult ball on the top rail. But yeah, just as I said, well, there you go. He's tried to close the door, but he's just ended up dropping it in. You can play this yellow just out into open play, and he's still in really good shape. Ronan, oh yeah. I was going to say he didn't want that to drop.
No, but Phil may decide that he doesn't want to get drawn in.
No.
He doesn't want to get drawn into a tactical battle here, and he has an option not to.
Maybe play the cannon.
Yeah, he can screw off the yellow and play onto the red and pot the yellow over the pocket. It's just he's got to make sure that the yellow he's hitting goes into a place where he can pot it next shot, because he isn't going to be able to see the one over the hole. I can tell you that Jack Whelan has just come around to the commentary section. I think he's going to do an interview. He has just won 11-9, so he has obviously come through an unbelievably tough section there. So all credit to him. And
that is amazing.
I did speak to him earlier. I went for some lunch with him, and he did say that he was playing. He did feel like he was playing well. He is one of those players where when he plays well, like I said, he has got pedigree. He either goes deep, wins, or goes very close.
Boyle, Boys and Shepherd.
Like I said, that
pushed into the losing side.
Yeah, that could quite easily be your quarter-final, semi-final, and final run-in.
Yeah, yep. And that was his round one, and then winners round one, winners round two. But it's not going to get any easier for him. Tough opponents all the way through, littered throughout the field. Carl Morris, Gareth Hibbett game I mentioned earlier, that's pretty slow. It's definitely some tactical frames going on. Still only 9 frames played. Mark Farnsworth is now 9-7 up against Sam Bircher. Chris Day was behind against Carl Sutton. He's now on the hill. He's 10 frames to 9. And Carl Sutton at risk. Adam Davis has won the next frame against Carl Bedford, and now leads 9 frames to 8. Matt Brearley, who I believe, might be wrong, pretty sure I remember saying that he was 6-3 ahead. Adam Marlowe must have won 5 in a row there, because Matt Brearley now trails 8 frames to 6.
Just going back to the game here, and Phil's playing a few suspect shots for me here. I mean, he wanted to push the red away so he could get access to the yellow. Obviously, he's giving 2 shots away in doing so, and he knows that Ronan is going to struggle to clear from there. So that's why he played it. But he played it cushion first, and I don't understand why he didn't play directly onto the red and push the red into the gap of the yellow and the knuckle. Because if he pushes the red into that gap, then that red doesn't come out.
Yeah, Ronan can't get out.
It's impossible to come out. If he wedges it into that gap, it's impossible. And I don't understand why he's played cushion first and why he's not just directly just bumped that red into that gap. Ronan's going to have a go at the finish here. He's going to bump this red out and then try and leave an angle to come off the top rail, just miss the yellow and kick the red and the black away. This looks good.
There's your angle.
This looks good.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty good on this. So what he would like is half ball on the red. Half ball on the red, and they'll come out.
Oh, no.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
It is, yeah. But,
I like that shot. I like that shot. He didn't crash into it. And what I think he thought was he was a little bit too thin on the red in the middle. So he didn't try and play a shot that wasn't there. He's just thought, well, if I kick the black, then I've only got to play one double, and I've won.
Yeah.
So I like that shot. He's now just got to make sure that he pots the double. He's going to be playing the double last. He's going to pot this, screw off the side rail. And then he's now just going to... Oh, he's got two options. Well, he's only got one option, really, but he's got two options. He needs to stun it in and then double the red into the corner because obviously he needs the cue ball to track up for the black in the middle. If he runs it through and plays the double in the middle, he can't get on the black. So he has to play the double in the corner. And just somewhere where the red is, really. Somewhere at the tip of where the white line finishes. Anywhere there is perfect. Just don't be too high because then you can't get the double. And there you go. At the tip of that line is perfect there. Big shot this. Because 9-3 is game over. Sorry, 9-2 it's game over. 8-3 it's, well, it should be over, but it's not. 9-2, I think it definitely is.
Yeah, he needs to keep Phil pinned.
No, nowhere near.
No good.
And where was the cue ball?
Yeah, indeed.
Completely miss it, that. Just quit on it. And I'm surprised he played it as a screw shot. I thought he could just play it with top right-hand side and just let the cue ball bounce off the cushion naturally.
Even that.
And Phil's having a good old whinge again.
Just not come out. You want to be
to the other side of the white line.
Yep. And he's missed a couple of these already. Not this time. But these will continue to manifest themselves, even though Phil's going to take the frame. He won't feel too much better about himself.
No, I completely agree, even though he's sort of stumbled over the finish in line in the frames that he's won. It hasn't been pretty, and that does sort of grind on you.
So Ronan Potts, a yellow from the break. Ref marks the ball, removes the rack, gives Ronan an extra few seconds off the clock just to work out what he wants to do. Yellows, I would suggest.
Definitely yellows,
Three
and
yellows.
I think he's pretty much straight on the yellow into the corner.
Yeah, and they're all there. Well, I say they're all there, actually.
He's got to play one cannon, but
Yeah.
he's got a ball that's to the right-hand side of the table, into the middle. That is the perfect angle to just pot that and screw down and just develop the red and the yellow. That's the cannon, and he's played that well. So he'll pot this one, play the cue ball around 2 rails, pot the high one of the 2 over the middle, then pot the one into the left corner, come all the way back around and leave one over the middle until last. That's the route he should be playing. So that's the way that he's gone about the finish, but because he's now finished hampered over the shallow, he may actually pot the one over the middle first and then just top around and play back onto the black. And there is a case for it because he's so hampered, and because he is obviously right-handed, you can see he's stretching.
The one.
Good shot, played it nice. This was the right route to go, and this is what I said at the start of the finish. This is the way you should go, but sometimes you fall out of position. Sometimes you finish in a place that can just be a little bit awkward, and it's not about being stubborn. You have to change your route along the way if you think it suits. I can just read you a few of the scores. Mark Farnsworth is now 10-7 against Sam Bircher from 6-4 down. Liam Dunster, Rob Warren. No, none of Liam Dunster's games are ever quick, so this one is behind a little bit. That's only 7-5. Cole Bedford, Adam Davies. That's now gone to 10-all. Like I said, I think that that result, if Cole wins, will definitely break a few accumulators, and I'm sure the bookie will be keeping a close eye on that one. Adam Marlowe, Matt Brealey is 9-6 to Adam Marlowe.
I think that's 6 in a row he's won now.
And there is some other matches that are on there in the losers' side. Rich Wharton is playing Alex Bailey, Gaz Royds, Craig Lakin, Dempsey, Waddingham. That's a good game. Also another game which will be quick and good to watch is Croxton against Carl O'Donoghue. Ryan Clark, Mike King. Another good one. There's a lot of good matches in this section actually. John McAllister, Orphan Dad. Carl Boys, Yannick Bofis. Neil Wren, Brian Halcrow. Cousins against Andy Barber.
And that one has just started. Incidentally, Andy Barber's won the first frame there, so 1-0 to him.
So that one, there is a really, really high standard of pool to be played in that session, especially for a loser's side.
Don't forget they are a race to 8. There's still other games appearing. Lee Clough against Liam White. We saw Liam on stream earlier. That'll be another tough game for Lee Clough. He's had some proper battles. I just spoke to him earlier, and he said he's been through the ringer.
This is just one of those matches that's just not meant to be for Phil. Yes, he's played bad, and yes, he's missed a lot of chances, but the breaks haven't been too favourable, and when he has made a ball from the break, they've come out awkward and everything's scrappy.
So Ronan will be keen now just to hammer the last nails in the coffin. All the yellows are there. Doesn't need to do too much. He does. He slams those balls in. I'm sure on some of these Supremes he must get pop outs. He really does punch him into the middle. It's quite strange actually. I've watched a bit of Ronan. I've never really noticed that too much before, but he really seemed to use that lovely timing. He just really hammers them in. He's going to have to cue this well. Doesn't need to do too much. There you go, there's another one. Time that one much better. We're going to take the one at the top of the table, leave the one next to the black until last, knowing that it doesn't matter which side he finishes to the left, then he can just screw back for the black in the left, or he finishes on this side. He can just top it through for the black in the middle. And as I said earlier, it's turned into a bit of a procession. It's the Ronan McCarthy show, because Phil just not turned up on parade, unlike Phil Harrison. And as I say, the pre-tournament 6-1 favourite, I know that he has been backed heavily. Went for £4,000 in the Calcutta. So there'll be don't get me wrong, he's not out. It's a double elimination. He's got another life. He will drop into the losers section. But there's some big fish already wallowing around in that section. So it's going to be hard work for Phil, but he definitely just needs to, hopefully for him, he's got a little respite now where he can maybe just go back to the hotel room and maybe take a shower and just regroup, forget about it. He'll know. I mean, he's been here before. He won't dwell. Just a bit more of a buzz going around the arena now. It's just slowly, gradually starting to fill up.
Yeah, and I think the next match and the next couple of matches on the evening session here, I think will be a lot busier. The atmosphere will be a lot better. We're obviously coming into Saturday evening, and there's a lot more people gathering now to watch these matches.
It was a nicely timed break by Ronan.
And he'll want to go reds, but he hasn't got an easy starter. So for that reason, he may go yellows.
I mean, yellows aren't too bad here. I mean, he's got these two adjacent to the left-hand pocket. If he pots one, the other one goes up the rail. It's not...
Yeah, they're okay, the yellows. They are just a bit tougher than they look because you have got to be a little bit cute with the cue ball. They look easy, but they are a little bit trickier than they look because the yellow to the left, the two yellows that, like you've just said, that are adjacent to the pocket, the top one of those, you can't see first shot.
Yeah.
So he'd like to take that one out of the way. He'd also like to take the one on the right-hand side of the table, the one closest to the black. He'd like to take that one away, but that one looks tight into the middle.
Yep.
And obviously it's a tough shot into the corner.
And if he does play it in the middle, then where's the white ball going? I mean, it's...
That's why he's choosing to go red, you see.
Yep.
To be honest, that's a good shot. And the reason I like that shot is, okay, he's got a little lucky with a cannon, but he deserved that for me because, to be honest, the way that Ronan saw that was he almost saw that as the black. And that is a good way to look at it because he just thought, well, if I pot this and land on a red, I'm going to win the frame.
Yep.
So that's basically like potting that long black. So I like the shot he played. He basically just said, I'm going to back myself to pot this, and if I pot it, I'll win the frame, rather than mess around trying to sort of go around the houses on the yellows, which, yes, he may have got, but he may not have. And you have to say, certainly the back end of this match, it's been a good performance from Ronan. They both obviously started off a little bit ropey, and Phil carried on, continued to be ropey. But when Ronan sensed and saw weakness and saw the way Phil was playing and the way that he was sort of, his body language was, and he's sort of the type of person that would have picked up on that and realised that as long as he raised his game to sort of anywhere near sort of 60-70%, it was going to be enough to win this match the way that Phil's been. And that's what he's done for me. He's just raised it enough and just, yes, he's took the finishes out that he's needed to, but really just ultimately just fed off Phil's mistakes, really. Just as I say that, he played to top into the red, completely misjudged it and hit the black.
Now this is tough. He's got a very difficult long red to corner, which if he makes will be game, set and match. No.
Nowhere near. Nowhere near that one.
Nowhere near.
And when I said that that long ball was the black, Ronan would have definitely thought after potting that long ball he'd won the frame. But you still have to obviously get over the line, even though you're so far ahead against someone as good as Phil is. You still have to make sure you put him to bed.
Sanjay Patel just there over Ronan McCarthy's shoulder. We saw him watching on. Sanjay was a part of this. I think, don't want to do him a disservice, but I think he's out.
Another one that may have an impact on a lot of people's accumulators, and certainly goes against the bookies' prices at the start, is Carl Morris is 8-3 ahead against Ibbott.
I know, I mean, I think we spoke yesterday about the old guard, Carl being one of the old guard, you know. I don't know what year he won the World Championship.
98 it was.
It was 98. You know, here's a player that's literally come back to the game to play in this event, and well, to be 8-3 ahead against the 2016 world champion Gareth Hibbert. Gareth, I know, was backed before the tournament. He opened at 25s, and just before the start of the event he was into 20s.
Farnsworth and Bircher is now 10-9 to Farnsworth, so that match has sort of happened in sort of bursts, hasn't it?
Yeah, Sam Bircher putting up a real good fight there. Tom Cousins has levelled things against Andy Barber, not forgetting that that is a losers round match and it's a race to 8. So they need to keep their wits about them. Carl Boys is going to be in a battle there against Yannick Beaufils. Yannick knows which end of the queue to use, and he's a good stick. He's 1-0 up. John McAllister, Arf Dad, still 0-0. Ryan Clark is 2-1 up against Mike King. Carl Donahue, who is flying today. We saw him first thing this morning. His first match he won 8-0. Then he beat he had a tough game in his second round losers match. I'll have to look up who it was. It escapes me for a second, but he had a really, really tough game. I'm going to have to look, because otherwise he's going to bug me. So not forgetting that Mark Boyle is now out of this event. He lost his first 2 games. The first one to Jack Whelan, the second one to Stefan Rossini. So some people's favourite pre-event, he's already out. Of course, apologies, it was Jordan Church. Carl Donahue beat Jordan Church 8-6, so that really was a tough game for him. But he's, as I say, he's flying today. So now Ronan looking for a good kiss, and he got one. He'll be happy with that. It's one that could have gone wrong.
So this is chance number 2 to win this match and put it to bed. And this is perfect. It's a great camera angle that you saw there, that you can see that he's left an angle on this, and the reason he needs an angle is because he needs to just stun up the table. You can see there he's just got a slight angle which will enable him to sort of just punch the cue ball over to the left-hand side and take it closer to the yellow. He'll be playing the one at the rail next.
So both of Lee Kendall's horses from the Calcutta in action, Craig Lakin and Liam White, they're both losing 1-0, and I get the impression, as they're drawn numbers, game number 185 and 186, there's a very good chance that they're going to be playing each other in the next round if they both win.
So if they both win, he'll be guaranteed one horse a couple of matches away.
Yep. He's overhit that by some margin, hasn't he?
And you know why he's overhit it, Nick, is because he was so conscious not to finish straight because the black doesn't go into the right corner. So he wanted an angle to screw down or stun down this side of the table to take the black in the middle. And
I mean, look at that now. That's just...
Yeah, he wanted the cue ball. He wanted the cue ball just past the line, so he could just stun down the table and play the black into the middle. And
so he's
now
got this
pot into the corner.
Yeah, bottom corner. What another tough pot.
Yeah,
Similar to what he had in the last game. He's got it this time.
As the cue ball, though.
Oh, it's a great pot, but oh dear.
It is, and I did say to you that he needs to put this match to bed.
Yep. If Phil suddenly decides that he wants to turn up, then
Farnsworth has just come around to the commentary, and he did win 11-9. So after being behind at the start of the match and then ahead through the middle, he did scrape over the line.
Carl Morris now 9-3 ahead against Gareth Hibbert. Lee Clough 2-0 against Liam White. Craig Waddingham 3-1 against Stevie Dempsey. So Ronan's now had two really good Guiltez chances to put this game to bed. He hasn't done it. And Phil Harrison continues to battle back. It's the first time in the game that he's managed to put two frames together. He needs another 6 after this. But he is the kind of player that could reel off 6 frames. Especially if Ronan continues to make mistakes. Phil Harrison, one of the best in the game, could have been here before. And if you were listening to the commentary earlier on today with Matt Brearley, he said during that commentary that I think he was 6-0 down, and he came back to win. And he was saying that even if he's 10-0 down, he's still got the same mindset. He still feels that he's in the game. Until he's actually beaten, he always feels that he's in the game. And Phil needs to just get that into his head. I'm still in this. Just take it one frame at a time. Just keep that pressure mounting on Ronan. They're just wondering whose break it is. It's Ronan's. It's 10-5. I think the ref just forgot to update that one. Frame number 16. And just been informed that Carl Bedford is through his game against Adam Davis. Well, that's an amazing result for him. Team Lisp, as he's otherwise known. That's his nickname.
Yeah, and this is slowly just going a little bit south here for Ronan, because he's had two great chances to obviously close the match out. One to go 11-3 and then one to go 11-4, and I think in a few minutes it's going to be 10-6 with Phil breaking.
You just feel that pendulum swinging slightly. It's just whether Phil's left it too late.
Yeah, and you know, the more chances you miss to get over the line, the harder it becomes. Phil's looking at potting this yellow that he's closest to, and I wouldn't pot this. I would leave that one there because he's got a big pocket up the rail for his only bad yellow if he leaves it there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't move that.
Yeah.
I think he needs to keep that yellow there. And he can just play it off it and he can't miss it, and the other yellow just bounces out. Don't understand why he wants to play it.
Yeah, I think he
just isn't quite thinking clearly at the minute. Now he's worked it out. Yeah. He did decelerate on that one a little bit, and he wanted to screw back another sort of 3 inches, and he stopped it dead.
It's not what he was after. He was trying to get over to side rail to play that up the rail, but he's got second prize. He can play this up into the top corner and have another go at getting on it. There's a lot of traffic to navigate though. The red's just starting to get in the way. Well, he's wondering if he can clip it up there. It's a big pocket after all. Oh, that's a good shot. How's he coming out?
Yeah, he's okay. He's on the one into the left corner. If he isn't on that one,
yeah,
he's okay.
Yeah, he'll take that. I mean, Phil doing his usual. Well, looking up the skies, actually, can he get through?
Nah, he's fine. He's fine. He can definitely get through.
Yeah. Yeah, Phil doing his usual, looking up to the skies. Very hard done by there, but he is perfect.
The yellow will pass the black into the middle, which does help, because then he can now just play on the one that's close to the line into the corner and then just drop the one past the black into the middle as his last ball. Oh, well, even better. He's on it into the corner. Owen just needs to be careful here, because if Phil breaks and clears now, and he's 10-7, then he's right back in it from absolutely nowhere near being in this match.
Yeah. And the pressure will continue to mount on Ronan. If Phil can indeed break and dish here, then Ronan's next break becomes very important. He will feel the pressure when he stands up there. So another big frame. So Sean Story through against Tobias Boat. Mark Farnsworth through against Sam Bircher. Chris Medding through. Jack Whelan through. Rob Chilton through. Adam Marlowe on the hill to go through against Matt Brearley. Liam Dunstan needs 2 more against Rob Warren. Carl Morris needs 2 more against Gareth Hibbert, but Gareth has just chalked one up. It's now 9-4. Tom Cousins, having gone 1-0 down, has won the next 4, and he's 4-1 ahead against Andy Barber.
As I said at the start of today, Nick, when we did the interview, and we had a bit of a chat this morning, I did say about it just goes to show how good, you know, the era of the early 2000s to mid 2000 era was of, you know, the Appleton, the Malin, the Morris, the Ronan, the Farnsworth, you know, all of those players that were top players then that have, for whatever reason, have gone away from the game, and well, not all of them, but, you know, Appleton, Malin, boys, those players that have all gone away from the game and now come back and just sort of almost just walk straight back in and hit the ground running. I think it just goes to show how good those players were and obviously still are.
Yeah, there was a question kind of early doors when this was all announced and those players started announcing their names for the series, whether, you know, almost, can they do it? Are they just coming back to make up the numbers? Are they coming back for the thrill of the ride? But they're here to compete. They've proven that over the last couple of days.
So Phil did make a ball, and Phil is going to clear, and it is going to be 10-7. And Ronan definitely is going to be under pressure. From having tap-ins to win 11-3 to now breaking off under pressure at 10-7. Oh, well, that's the commentator's curse then. Oh dear. Oh wow.
Horrible. He's got a quarter ball, very difficult pot.
Yeah, and where's the cue ball? Maybe he'll be okay if he pots it.
Yeah, that's no good. So another half a chance now for Ronan McCarthy. Can he take out this one? Chance number 3 to close out the game. So somebody asked a few minutes ago if we could explain the Calcutta.
Okay. It is something new to me. I've heard about it. I know they do it a lot in America. I know they do it a lot in Australia. And to be honest, I was talking to a few of the American people and players about it at one of the Chinese events. And I was talking to Corey Jewell and Shane Van Bonen about it, and they were saying that in a lot of the smaller events in America, it's the way that they make their money, because the prize money is not very high, but it does become high if you win and have backed yourself in the Calcutta. So it's a way that they make up a lot of the money, basically, the extra money in their events. And a quick rundown on the way it works is every player gets auctioned off, whether it be individually or as a group. So they auction every player off. You buy that player for whatever amount you see as the right amount. So it's just a bidding auction. All of the money from every single player then gets put into a total pot. So just for a round figure, let's say there was £100,000 in the pot from the whole field. 35% of that pot goes to the winner, the winning bidder. So for example, if you bid £1,000 for Ronan McCarthy, you would receive, if the total pot was 100,000, you would receive 35,000 of that. The player that you bid on, so you bid on Ronan McCarthy for £1,000, within 24 hours of the finish of the auction, that player has the right to buy half of himself. So you buy Ronan for 1,000, he has the right to buy himself for the other 500, so he in effect owns half of a stake in himself. If he chooses not to, he chooses not to, that's his choice. You own all of that player yourself. Then percentages then stagger down from 35% to the winning player down to, I think it's 25% for the runner-up, and so on, down to 5% for the quarterfinals. So if your player gets to the quarterfinals, you get 5% of the total pot. And that is a brief description of the Calcutta.
Yep. I mean, it works in a similar way to the tote pool, if you understand the tote pool in horse racing. But in the meantime, Ronan McCarthy's finally closed the game out. He beats Phil Harrison, and Phil Harrison drops over into the loser's side. And Ronan McCarthy strolls on into winner's side round 4. For now, we're going to step away. I'm not quite sure when the next game is or what it is. It won't be long, I'm sure, because the next round will be due to be played very, very shortly. So there'll be a short break. I don't know if there's going to be interviews. I assume there probably is. We're just going to track down Lee Kendall, so stick around for that. But for now, thanks very much to Gaz.
Thank you.
We'll be back very, very soon.
Okay, so we're here with two of the winners from that round, which now puts them into the fourth round of the winner's side, Mark and Ronan. I actually commentated on Ronan's match there with Phil, so obviously we'll start with that one. Ronan, a little bit scrappy?
Very scrappy, very scrappy. Phil was really bad. I knew looking at him that he wasn't comfortable, and I played bad, and Phil's break was terrible. Mine wasn't too bad for a change, but I just knew looking at him he couldn't really win the match just the way he was playing.
Yeah, and I said in the commentary that he didn't look right. He tactically, for me, he was playing the wrong shots, and he just looked uncomfortable. And he was shaking his head. I know he shakes his head a lot, but he was shaking his head quite a lot. And I did say that although you two obviously play loads of tournaments, you don't play in the same tournaments, and I couldn't remember, I didn't know when the last time you would have played each other. So I didn't know if that was a factor. Obviously you respect each other, but you don't play in the same tournaments. He plays on his side, you play on the IPA, and you wouldn't have played each other, as far as I'm aware, for a long time.
No, we haven't, and we have had a lot of good battles over the years, and there's probably not much in it. I've beat him quite a bit, he's beat me quite a bit, so there is a lot of respect there, but the two of us, I don't know what happened. It was poor for two supposedly top players.
And there's a lot of respect. And when you play somebody week in, week out, whether it be in tournament and practice, you do sort of get used to playing those players. The players you get used to playing on the IPA, you get used to playing him tournament in, tournament out. When you're playing somebody else who you know him really well, but haven't played him for so long, I could just see maybe a respect thing more on his part, to the point where he almost looked a little bit intimidated.
He did, and I honestly thought looking at him that he was a wee bit intimidated for whatever reason, I don't know, but it's probably the worst I've seen him playing, because he's usually really solid, and you usually need to play at your very best to beat him, but I felt like I played poor there and still won the match comfortably.
Yeah, but a win's a win. It doesn't say how, it just says who, on to the next round. And
that's it.
So your match, Mark, I was keeping track of them on the scores, on the live scores. Obviously I was commentating, and I seen that you were, I think, 4-2 down, 6-4 down, then sort of pulled away ahead in the middle of the match. Then he came back at you again to 10-9. It looked obviously a good match from the scores.
It was a strange match. I started off terrible. I should have won the first couple of frames. I was 2-0 down. I was 4-1 down. Managed to get back to 4s each. I played a terrible shot at 4 each, went 6-4 down. And basically I was just staying in the match. He played really, really well. I've seen him play a couple of times. I watched him a bit in one of the amateur events down here last year, and I was very impressed with him. Sam Birch, he's a very good cueist. Possibly a little bit inexperienced at important times of frames, going for finishes when they possibly weren't there. Maybe he should have played a tactical shot, but I was definitely on the ropes, and he played some really good stuff. I was just thought he was breaking very well, but he kept coming up dry, even though the balls were flying all over the place. So I was just managed to keep all of his coattails at times. Used my experience to get in front, and then I let him off the hook a little bit, and he got back in the match. And I was a bit edgy towards the end, because obviously I'd done the hard work to get back in front, and then nearly give it away. So it's such a big tournament. When you've got the win there on a plate and you throw it away, it gets to you a little bit.
It's a big tournament, and when you start thinking about everything from that winner's side, so obviously at that time you're in the third round of the winner's side. Obviously that match is a big match because it does catapult you quite far into the draw. If you were to lose that, it probably puts you, without checking the way it works, it probably puts you like 4 or 5 matches back, as opposed to a couple of matches from being where you need to be, which is a single elimination in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think we're going to win another 2 matches to get through the single elimination. I've not really took much notice of the draw, but when it doesn't matter when you drop into the loser's side. Like the earlier you drop in the loser's side, it's just it's a big mountain to climb, isn't it?
Yeah, so, if you drop in within your first couple of matches, you know that you're probably 6 or 7 matches away from where you need to be, where if you drop in within the last couple of matches, there's sort of a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, isn't there then?
Yeah, I think in a normal tournament as well, like you play double eliminations and all the rest of it, the loser's side tends to be, I don't want to say easier, but you think you can still battle through it, but you look at the field here, and the loser's side is any sort of tournament, do you know what I mean? It's a great tournament.
Yeah, so just quickly, I've just been told that you now play Malin.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that will be one for one of the back tables right out the way.
Yes.
Nowhere near the arena table, but no, obviously that one's going to be on the arena table. I'm sure that everybody's going to want to watch that one. Obviously, Chris has had some good results, and I, for one, didn't know how Chris was obviously going to come here and play along with the other 9-ball boys, but having watched him play and a few of the others, they seem to be playing to a high level. Obviously, he'll need to be able to compete, but it's a match that I know you'll thrive on, and with it being out in the arena, I think it's going to be a great match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's the sort of match that you play the game for, you know, when you enter the tournaments, and it's all well and good, like doing well in tournaments, but you want to play the well-known players, you want to play the best players in the tournament, etc., in the best conditions. I've got a lot of respect for Chris. He's a fantastic cubist. He's done very well at obviously all disciplines over the years. Great player. I'm looking forward to the match. It should be good.
Okay, so the next match we've got coming up on the arena table is going to follow this interview shortly, which is Richard Toomey against Mark Singleton, which is about... Sorry, Callum Singleton, take that back, apologies. That'll be starting very shortly.